I bought 6 watches from AliExpress, and let me just tell you, they are all terrible. £3.44. Well, that was less than my sandwich. All right, I suppose we can take a look. Watch for men. Unusual conceptual crash melting twist shaped case. You know, when I think of the big watch brands, I think of Rolex and Cartier and Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet, but one that often gets overlooked is Moonbiffy. Now, there wasn't a lot on the listing. However, there were some reviews. One came in with just all right, which I found helpful. Another person who was slightly less satisfied found it horrible. And then this person with a slightly more comprehensive review came in with low quality bracelet, decent looking watch, but then again, and this wisdom caught me off guard, you get what you pay for. That little bit of wisdom got me sat there thinking, what did I pay for? Tat. I paid for tat. Or did I? Now this thing absolutely screams quality. Bad quality. The craftsmanship on this is some of the worst I've ever seen. It feels truly horrible in the hands and on the wrist, not to mention the noises it makes. It arrived with a blob of gloop on the bezel as well as sizable gouges. The bracelet has folded links and looks like it's falling apart. So it's not looking great for the first watch. However, from a distance, it looks kind of cool.
Yo, life theories, this nice delivery got me rated. Banana berries and smooth metals overdated.
Two of these for the price of these sunglasses. Thank you very much. Nice watch. Is that Seiko?
Yeah, it's 74.
A little Pogue, is it? Let's have a look. Oh yeah. Very nice, mate. Very nice.
All praises be, thought you knew you was God-fearing. When there was time to man up, coming from the sandbox, man, we had to find out where we at. We the illest tandem, ISO Nation fandom, side by side like Hov and yeah.
I reckon I'm gonna go for that one now. It's good.
Mate, that is actually more than the watch.
Oh yeah. Having worn this all day, I can safely say it is one of the jangliest and cheapest feeling watches I've ever worn. But it did look kind of cool. And for £3.44, it's a talking piece. I don't know what you're going to talk about. Do you think it's modelled off of the Cartier crash?
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Have you seen that watch?
I have.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Right, so Scott is actually going to be useful for the next watch, which I brought with me, because you've kind of wanted a watch like this for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
It's Cartier inspired. It's kind of stunning, right?
It is quite cool.
Sander 1116 New Fashion 2023 Elegant Design Rectangle Dial Water Resistant Quartz Movement Businesswoman Analog Wristwatch. Now this is absolutely beautiful. I cannot believe this is only £11. It's remarkable. Under the close magnification of my lens, you can see that there is loads of detail on the dial, and everything, to be honest with you, just looks very high quality. The glass is actually curved with the case, which I just think is such a nice little feature. It's got those blue steel hands, very reminiscent of a Cartier. As well as that, there is the blue gem on the tip of the crown. The inside of the case is a mirrored finish, which makes the dial look like it goes off into infinity. And one thing that I really have to stress is that the bracelet is solid. It is thick, solid links. Compared to the last one, this feels like Rolex quality. It's got that butterfly deployant clasp, which is really, really nice. It works absolutely perfectly. It feels very solid. Honestly, this is just such a surprisingly good watch for the money. I could not believe it. Let's see what Scott thinks.
before you hold this one, hold this for a second.
Oh yeah.
How does that feel?
Not great.
But then, feel this one. Doesn't that feel
much,
good?
Much nicer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's nice, right?
It is. Yeah, big fan.
It's kind of sweet.
It is.
Je m'excuse pour la mauvaise impression en français d'accent français.
2024 New Men Watch Quartz Waterproof Male Clock Business Watch Men's Watches Top Brand Luxury Watch Men's Chronograph Reloge Hombre. That is actually what it is called, and it is actually $3.99. Yes, I am just as mind blown as you are. Now this next watch is just absolutely ridiculous. £3.99. It is very hard to find anything to complain about it, but we're going to do that anyway. Why is my facial hair longer than at the start of the video? Well, that is because time has passed. It was nearly 1 o'clock on the 9th when I filmed the first part of this video, when I had this watch set to that time. It is now, according to this watch, 35 past 12 on the 21st. I have not changed it. I've not even picked it up in that time. Let's take a look. Okay, right, well, 36, but the 21st, boom, it keeps time. That is a good sign. And on top of that, it's a really decent feeling watch. The bracelet is a little bit cheap, nowhere near as awful as that first one. It does have a little bit of a sort of hollow jangle feel to it, but it has surprised me. The quality of it has absolutely surprised me. I've adjusted the bracelet so that it fits me. This, to me, is probably one of the nicest watches in this bunch. I know, obviously, it's very Patek Philippe inspired, copied, some would say. Others would disagree, they would be wrong.
Speaking of others, let's find out how much the public think this watch is worth.
Oh God. How much do you think this watch is worth?
Oh, I reckon that's worth £500.
£500. How much do you think I paid for that watch?
Not a great deal, I hope.
How much do you think I paid for this watch?
120.
120, what do you think?
Like 80.
It's a Pargomu.
From the watches I've seen around here, I'm thinking like £1,200.
Interesting, what about you?
I'd say probably £250.
£250. Very quickly, what are you wearing? Is it a date just?
Date just,
Very
yeah.
nice. How much do you think I paid for this watch?
It looks a little bit like Patek Philippe, 70 quid. Less than 100.
$3.99.
I think it's rather expensive. Oh, £3.99. Okay, that's a good deal. Well paid.
Thanks very much. You are closer.
Oh,
It's $3.99. £3.99.
Yeah.
£3. £3.99. Where'd you get it?
China. Lots of very nice watches, but they haven't got one of these bad boys. I'm just wondering how much you think I paid for this watch. You're more than welcome to hold it.
Alright. That strap feels quite flimsy. $11.99.
That's well close. It was £3.99.
Well, that is well
What
close.
about you? Would you have been?
Yeah, I'd have just said this.
Yeah, you'd have said the same. $11.99. That is the closest we've got. Well, that was certainly interesting. But did we learn anything new? Yes. I do not suit bucket hats. In all seriousness, this is not a bad buy for £3.99. Look, it's gonna pass off as something obviously more expensive than £3.99. I think everybody was shocked when they discovered that. Something like this would likely be sold next to the counter in a bunch of like clothes shops, and it would still probably be very much more expensive than £3.99, but of the exact same quality, I imagine. Who knows how long it will last? Who knows if the bracelet will just give way and you'll look down at your wrist one day and it'll be gone? I cannot tell you. But all things considered, not bad so far. We've looked at 3. The first one was really quite jangly and cheap, but looked kind of cool from a distance. Could be used for parties and going out and stuff. The second one, really very impressive. This one, not too bad at all. If you like the design, it could be a good little buy for £3.99. A little bit of fun. 3 watches, and all of them are fairly good for the money. That is the most important thing to consider. Let's take a look at the next one.
Couple watch for men, woman, silver black quartz wristwatch, simple dial, new orologio, male clock, man, ladies, stainless steel reloge.
Now this one really caught my eye because I love vintage divers watches. Now here is a couple. These are both Seiko, and if you look very closely, you can see it's clearly rather inspired by a Seiko, but still it has some original sort of design, like the all black dial, which is fantastic design. I think that could be Italian. But yeah, if you look up very closely, you can see it's so similar to this Seiko. You've got a very similar bezel, including the actual outside of the bezel, not just the inside. The hands are quite different, that is pretty obvious, but yeah, the crown location as well. But obviously they've gone for a sort of a vintage divers looking watch. One thing, however, that is quite important to mention is that this one doesn't work. The second hand is just twitching back and forth, which is usually a sign that the battery is dead. Interestingly though, they included a battery, so I thought it could be fun to take the back off this watch and see what's inside and then replace the battery. Let's have a little look. Oh, it is an absolutely minuscule movement. Replacing batteries in a watch is quite a good skill to have because someone will charge you for it, and you can just do it yourself at home. The only thing is, obviously, you need to make sure that when you tighten the case back up, that it is well tightened so that it is water resistant again. But anyway, I've removed the old battery. Let's take this new one out of the packaging and pop it into place. Like so. And then what we're actually going to do is go an extra step and grease the gasket on the case back. So this is a little greaser for a gasket. Let's just pop it into there. And then you sort of just do this movement, which looks slightly suspicious, so don't do this in public. Okay, here we go. And then we can tighten it up. I'm going to try and do it as best as I possibly can. Okay, well that's got it working again, which is fairly straightforward. Now, I thought for this watch we could actually put it to the test because it's made to look like a diver's watch, but will it survive
the ocean?
Here we go, time to channel my inner Jacques Cousteau and dive into the depths of sewage water that is Brighton Beach. Brilliant. I'm risking cholera for this cheap watch. If that doesn't make you subscribe, then what are you? The watch was fully submerged and I swam 10 laps and found Nemo. Let's check on the submaraka and would you believe it, it's bloody survived. Do you know what? That is a massive surprise. Obviously, I did grease the back gasket, so this isn't a result straight out of the factory, but you too can grease your gasket for just a few of your hard-earned pounds. I did not think that a £14 watch would get this far. And not just because that's cheap, because it explicitly says on their website that this watch only life waterproof for rains. Wash hands, do not put into water. Well then, let's quickly crack it open and see if any water got in. Then we'll move on to the next watch. Well, it's not working again. And it can't be the battery. We put a brand new one in there. I don't think it's going to be the water, because if the water had damaged the movement, I think it would probably have stopped working completely. Plus, it was like this when I first got it, so I don't know if that is the water, but there is only one way to find out, and that is to take a look inside the watch. Wow, I did that tight. Or the seawater's like rusted it shut. Hang on. No, we're good. We're moving. Let's have a look. Yeah, I don't think the seawater could have caused that, because that would have surely made it stop completely. Plus, it's been a couple of days since I swam in the ocean. But let's take a little look. There is not a speck of moisture anywhere. Not even the tiniest bit. I mean, that's probably all credit to the fact that that gasket got greased, to be completely honest, but even around the crown area, there's absolutely no moisture, and that is not a screw down crown. Oh, now it's going. Oh. 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 A lot of
gritty salt water has gotten under the bezel, and that has completely, completely crippled that. Oh no. Jacques Cousteau wouldn't know how much oxygen he's got left. That's not good at all. So yeah, the bezel clearly is not cut out for the water. Fairly good, but not great. It could be useful for some people. I've put it through a bit of a test. Not a lot of test. That's just one trip to the ocean, and the bezel has completely stopped working. The movement is very temperamental. 5 out of 10 is what I would give this watch for the money. Important to consider. Right, so let's move on to the next watch. Oh, it's this one.
Lightweight plastic band case, full green watch for men, classic simple relodge quartz wristwatch, mailman, new fashion style clock.
What just happened? All jokes aside, what I wanted to do was showcase this in an environment which I thought suited it. This is a really cool watch. It's obviously fairly AP inspired, but then again, there's lots of designs of watches like this coming out nowadays. I just thought that this is a really brilliant, very simple and straightforward design. It's very legible, you know, although it's all green, it's so clear to see what the time is on this watch, which is always, you know, helpful. They sell them in a bunch of different colors, so you don't have to just go for this green one, but I do think that this is a really nice color. It just looks absolutely awesome, to be honest with you. There's a little bit of wisdom on their listing, which I thought we could take a look at. Simple style. Create a single color, pure trend sense. Can be called a revolutionary classic representative. 3 ATM waterproof. Wash your hands, get in the rain, swim. I have to say, this really is one of my favorite watches. It's not necessarily my kind of style, but my boxing coach, Liam, is gonna absolutely love this. I really do like this though a great deal, and because it's plastic, you kind of don't feel as though it's low quality. I mean, with some of these metal watches, holding this versus holding an actual proper branded watch, it really is very clear that this is a bit of a sort of a cheaper, more budget version, one could say. Coupled with the fact that this is plastic and the fact that it's finished with this really nice smooth coating, this does feel very high quality. And on the wrist, it's certainly not going to be something that someone's going to look at and go, that's a cheap watch. They're just going to look at it and go, that looks like a nice watch. For the amount of money that this was, a little bit over £10, that is just absolutely crazy. I think we've looked at a really nice, varied selection of watches in this video, but I have one final watch that I'm very excited about, but it has one major problem. Let's take a look at it.
Couple watch for men, women, silver black quartz wristwatch. Ah, this joke is so dead.
This is my second favorite watch of the bunch. The Cartier looking one is probably my favorite. This one is a close second, and it would have been first. It really would have been first. The reason it is not is because this is not a sticker that you can just remove. This off-center black rectangle featuring scratches is actually, for some reason, a part of its design. I mean, who's made that decision? Also, it just says Foslin quarter watch. And it might well be that quarter watch is another language for quartz watch, but honestly, that has just ruined its design. I have no idea why they would do that. The case has this beautiful sort of anodized finish to it, and then you've got this absolutely gorgeous chrome bezel all around the edge. The dial has this sort of brushed steel effect that reflects really nicely in the light. The bracelet is just solid. I mean, obviously, it's a fairly cheap bracelet, but this is very in keeping with a lot of watches from the 80s and 90s, so it really does look like it's a vintage watch. It kind of gives me some James Bond vibes. But yeah, this really suits my aesthetic. It looks stunning next to all of my 70s sort of bits and bobs, and I really do think that this is genuinely something that I will wear. I'm just a bit annoyed about that little black rectangle. In some ways it looks like a little digital LCD screen, but the fact that it's off-centered, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, I think this has been a really fun video. I've enjoyed it. It's taken me forever, but I've looked at a whole range of watches, and I think that for the money, they're quite a good bit of fun. You might even be able to just trial something on your wrist to see if you like the feeling of it. And who knows, you might actually then go out and buy yourself a real Patek Philippe. I will never be able to afford that. Goodbye.